Hello everyone and welcome back to It's Personal. I am Mona and today's video is a little bit of a throwback to a project, well, two other projects I did over a year ago for the channel. It was little donut earrings I made and keychain and a little bear keychain and stuff. So yeah, this came from that same period basically. So today's video is all about making a cupcake, a rainbow icing cupcake to be more precise. So I started off this video by quickly showing you guys the Montmartre polymer clay, which I will link. I will link all the products I used for this video down in the description because I might forget stuff, and when I rewatch it, then I see everything again. Because this was recorded, like I said, like over a year ago. So what I started off with doing is I used some binding wire for the armature, and I wrapped my basic shape for my cupcake around the wire. I did the base for the cupcake, and now I'm trying to do the twirly part at the top, which is usually your icing bit. It took me a minute to get that properly done before I proceeded on to excruciatingly working through the clay, because I don't have one of those little fancy rollout machines, so I needed to do this by hand. So it took me quite a while to get like the clay consistency and like it's, you know, get it ready for sculpting, molding and all those things. So you will see me roll it out a couple of times and like make it into a little ball, and then I will squish it out again and roll it out. And yeah, it just took me a minute to get used to it, because this was like the third time I used polymer clay, and I'll be honest, I haven't picked up the batch since. I have been in the mood the last couple of like 2-3 weeks. I've been thinking about doing another video. I'll probably record it and post it in the new year. I want to do something else with the polymer clay. Once in a while I just get these urges to do things I haven't done in a while, and this is one of those things. So I did the base first for this little project, and then I made sure I not measured out, but plus minus measured out like the distance for the surrounding cupcake area. And then I needed to make sure I had like a little part of the cupcake actually sticking out. So that is the part I put on the top there. And then I'm going to put the cupcake layering around it. And then I'm just going to start smoothing out the surfaces using those little tools I have there were actually bought at one of our local 5 Rand stores here in sunny South Africa in my town. And these tools are actually kind of nice. They are not super high quality, but they are efficient when you are starting out. And these were actually nail art tools that I got from that same store I spoke about a second ago. And yeah, they worked fine for me for this project, but I do want to invest in some better tools at a later stage, something that is more stable with a better silicone tip, and also some sculpting tools, some more weighty sculpting tools. The ones I have are all plastic, and sometimes they feel a little bit on the flimsy side, but they do get the job done. But investing in a craft is also sometimes a good idea, especially if you want to see how far you can take it. But for now, for practice, for learning, to see if I actually want to continue with it, this will work. This is sufficient for now, and anyone that wants to start out with what you have. You don't have to buy expensive tools. I don't have expensive tools. I think all of the stuff is either from the baking art at my 5 Rand store or from the nail art section, which is fine. Okay, so guys, we are in a little bit of a messy stage right now. So I was trying to get the layering on the cupcake part correct before I started off with the swirly icing part that goes up to the top of this little cupcake. So it took a lot of work and fiddling and edging stuff, and yeah, you guys will have to watch this to see me struggle for a millennia to get this correct. I had to speed this video up quite a lot. This was an extensively long project, but yeah, when you are amateurish at best, then things like this take forever. But as we get better at our crafts and the things we do, things do get easier. I spent today less than 2 hours on well, it wasn't a very big coloring project, but yeah, it took me like 2 hours today, and I'm glad it only took 2 hours, because if I spent any longer on that, it would have you might have ended me today. But yeah, like I said, when things get easier, the more you do something, the more you learn, the quicker you get. Not just quicker, but you learn the shortcuts, you learn the tricks of the trade. You enjoy it even more. So now we're putting on the little icing for the cupcake. It's just going to go down in layers right around. And there you go, the little cupcake is all wrapped up to the top. And now it's time to like close up all the little gaps that were made. But that's the thing with polymer clay. It's not something you can't just wrap it around something. You need to refine the edges. You need to close up the little gaps. So it takes a little bit of fiddling to smooth out the edges, the creases, the filling, like all those little gaps that are still visible on the little project, on the little icing part. I'm just going to fill in even the parts I had to, what is the word I'm looking for? When you attach two parts together. I know what the Afrikaans for it is, but my brain can't think about the English right now. In any case, the section where the two pieces would interact, that you also need to smooth out to make sure it doesn't come loose with baking or after baking and stuff. But yeah, that was the fun part. Then I got to do some detail work, like define like the little swirls and all the creases. I think I enjoyed that part probably the most, because the sculpting part was actually really fun. I think that's the part I enjoy with polymer clay the most, and why I lean towards polymer clay and not air dry clay, because air dry clay can be excessively messy because there's water involved. But some people enjoy that. There's a lot of people that enjoy that, because air dry clay, like pottery, for example, and things, you cannot do it without using water. And with with polymer clay, for example, you don't need water. You can use the medium as it is. You just need to make sure you work your clay properly, like heat it up with your hand temperature, or you put it through a little machine, and then it becomes moldable, easier to use. And then afterwards, instead of waiting for it to dry in the air, you can just put it in the oven and it'll bake in the oven for you. Which is actually pretty nice, because then you can have your project done quicker as well. And yeah, for me it's just all about the mess. There's less mess involved, and that's a bargain. That is absolutely what I love. So we are just smoothing out. We are still smoothing out a lot of the little creases and bits and bobs. And I think at this point I realized my cupcake bottom was excessively skewed. There is a part that's going to come up where I actually end up fixing that one side of the cupcake at the bottom, because it was, I don't know how I did it. Maybe it was because I molded the armature part of it, the tin foil part, really wonky, and I had to like put in another piece of clay and just smooth out all the edges, just to give it that little form back, so it didn't look like someone had squashed the poor cupcake on the one side. Yeah. And now it's just smoothing and creasing, and yeah, it's all those little, it's a back and forth thing. That's all I can say. Back and forth the entire time. I did switch out silicone tools quite a couple of times throughout the course of sculpting this little cupcake. I think it's because some of the tools just had a more firmer tip for me to use with on top of that clay, and others just had a different form. Like one of the previous ones I used, it had like a curved inside, like a quarter moon. And this is one of the fun parts. Prior to recording this video, I had at one stage I had a mascara brush I discarded. I recycled from the old mascara I threw out, and I decided to clean off that little brush and chuck it into my little container because it's actually a really nice little texture thing. If you look at this little mascara brush, because it's got a lot of little hairs and it's not like flimsy, they're kind of sturdy. So I used that for putting a little bit of texture on the cupcake, the dough part of it itself. And now I'm at that point where I'm doing the cupcake creases, which was another little challenge in itself, because I think in my head I had it planned out a little bit differently. So it took me forever to get those little creases in, but these little silicone tools definitely helped to get a smoother edge and to get the correct sizing on those little creases. And yeah, it's like everything with this project, it just took some patience, it took some time. I don't think clay is something you can rush. If you rush it, you mess it up and then you have to start all over again. Here is the part where I fixed the cupcake bottom. And you'll see as I lift it up, you will see the indentation in it. Yeah, it is a little bit, it needed just a little bit of extra love. And with those tools, you'll see it actually makes the blending part so much easier. And yeah, very quickly I was able to smooth it out so you didn't even see the additional little piece of clay that went onto it. And yeah, I'm glad I did that. It was a nice little fix the mistake kind of vibe. Which is good. If we don't practice and we don't make the mistakes, we're never going to learn. And yeah, I think this was a really cool little learning experience for me. I remember being really nervous about putting this little cupcake in the oven, because I was like, outside of this project, I've only done the earrings, the little donut earrings and the little teddy bear. That's the only other projects I did with polymer clay that needed to go into the oven. And this was the first one I did with binding wire and tin foil on the inside. So I was a little nervous that this thing might end up shrinking or cracking or something weird along that line in the oven. But luckily it didn't. And I'm kind of grateful for that. To be honest, I cannot remember how long I had it in the oven. But all those details usually are on the outside of the packaging for your polymer clay. I know I saved the tiny packet one I had with the big one. So I know next time I go back to sculpting, I will have those important bits of information. Sorry guys, I am yawning. It's been a recording day, so once in a while my brain just goes into like reset mode and then I yawn and then I'm halfway into a word or a sentence. So please excuse me for this one today. I really just need to get this video audio recording done so I can get the video out to you guys, which will hopefully be the coming week. By the time you see it, it will be out. So hopefully I survived. It's pre-December. It's like midway through November at the moment. And yeah, Christmas is around the corner. End of the year is around the corner. I cannot believe how fast it has come around. And because it's been like, you click your fingers and this year's gone by, the new year's going to be here, and then there's going to be so many new things and new possibilities. Well, that's what I'm hoping, at least. Living with the cup half full, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited for the projects in 2026. I'm already planning in my head, how can I change things up for the channel, because I really want to grow this community. I'm working on some sideline things with a friend. She's helping me with a dream basically, and yeah, she kickstarted it a couple of weeks ago, probably like 2 months ago now. And yeah, I still got a bit of work left to do for her, so we can get that up and running by the new year, or for the new year, so I can start sharing that with you guys. And yeah, the possibilities, like they say, are endless. It's just how far can our brains go? how far can we manage with our capacity for all these things? But yeah, this little cupcake sculpting is coming to a very quick end right now. The cherry is going to go on top in a second. I just felt this little project needed a little cherry, because cherries are like, they're cute. They look so cute on cakes and they look so cute on cupcakes. So I'm like, I just needed to add one on top of this project for today. And yeah, then after I add the cherry on top, which is apparently going to take me a second, because I cannot figure out for the life of me how to do a cherry apparently. Oh, it's funny when stuff just like doesn't go exactly according to plan. But yeah, I'm busy with attempt number 2 now, it seems. I didn't even notice it when I edited. I did this little thing twice. Yeah, you see, that is why I say this is why there's forgiveness with polymer clay. You have some time to fix it, and then it's only fixed when you put it in the oven. Little final bits of smoothing, and then I'm going to put it on a little see-through tray thingamajig, and then I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol to clean the entire surface of the cupcake, just to ensure there's no little bits of fluff or hair or weird things or fingerprints, because that's a big thing with polymer clay, is you can easily leave behind fingerprints. And then just using some rubbing alcohol and an earbud in this case, just to wipe down the surfaces and all the areas that I see they've got a little bit of dirt on it, bits I didn't like, I smoothed that out a little bit with the rubbing alcohol and the earbud. And then I put it in the oven and I baked it, and everything was fine. I worried for no reason. It didn't crack, it didn't bubble, it didn't do anything weird. It just baked till it was hard. I think the thing with polymer clay is, and that's how I understand the instructions as well, don't make the layers too thick, because then the heat doesn't bake right through, and then you've got mushy pots on the inside and baked outside, and that's where the problems tend to come in. And I do apologize, I'm yawning again. So I started off, you can see I used dollar acrylic paints for this project. With the other earrings I think I used Derwent acrylic paints, and for some reason that paint's got my little earrings and stuff all kinds of sticky, and the dollar didn't do that. So my next attempt is going to be using craft paint. I'm on the experimental phase. I want to try and figure out, is it the higher quality acrylic paints that make like sticky messes on the polymer clay, or is it actually better just to buy cheaper acrylic paints or craft paint if I get around to testing that, so you don't get a sticky project? Because I was really happy with those little earrings and stuff, but you pick them up and they put them in your hand, and then you can feel this. It's like the paint is not dry, but the paint is dry. It just has this weird little sticky texture to it. But yeah, I have to say the dollar acrylic paints, we get those in South Africa, actually worked better. Not 100%, there's still a tiny bit of tackiness to it, tiny bit, but it's not as bad as when I used the more expensive acrylic Derwent acrylic paint tubies I have. So this worked better. So I kept the colors simple. I used the primaries, a little purple, I think there's black in there and some white. I basically try to go for like the rainbow color selection, because the little icing is going to be a rainbow selection. But I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds just to watch that, and then I will get back to explaining the icing when we get to it. So it took a good couple of layers to get the wrapping of the cupcake completed. And yeah, now it's that rich, dark, chocolatey brown color, which was my intended color, because I didn't want to choose a light blue or light purple or light green for the cupcake liner, because I wanted the icing on the top of this little cupcake to stand out, because it's going to be like this rainbow effect I'm going for. You will see me started doing that. I'm going to start with some blue, and then I think I'm going to go down the row with the little colors on my palette. First some blue, then some green, and I'm going to try as I go to blend those colors in where they overlap and where they cross. And that was the fun part for me. I enjoy mixing colors. It just makes my brain happy every time, every day of the week. Just mixing those little crossover sections for this cupcake was the joy of my life. I still enjoy it till today. A couple of weeks ago now, it's been like 2-3 weeks, I went on holiday, and I was crafting with a friend, and I ended up doing this rainbow background, and I just used the primary colors, and then I mixed secondaries for that. And that was also so much fun, just to blend the secondary colors and mix it into the edges of the primaries. And I was like, just doing projects like that just makes my brain excessively happy. And this cupcake icing just made my day. You will see me, there was like, I think it was 2 or 3 layers I had to put over the icing, because it needed a good coverage as well, because the dollar acrylic paints aren't very opaque, so they're more on the translucent side. A lot of their colors, their yellows or kind of like that, the red, but because I used white, it wasn't as bad. If I went in with the pure colors, I probably would have struggled a lot more, but I used the white paint, so it helped a lot. So I got this little pastel vibe going, and I mixed all those little colors together, and yeah, it was a happy little cupcake with a little rainbow on top. Looking back on this project, I think to myself, Mona, why did you leave it in the recording container for so long? And I think because sometimes we get stuck on what works well for YouTube and what works well for this and what works well for that, and then I tend to forget it's all about the process. And yeah, this was a learning experience for me, and one I enjoyed a lot at the time. And even though it was very time consuming, you can't believe, I think this project was nothing less than 4 hours in total, and I had to compress it down to like the 28 minutes. There's sections of this video that are sped up up to 600 times. So yeah, this took a very long time. But was the end result worth it? Yes. Was the learning process of it worth it? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes. I'll just need to manage better time to ensure that I'm prepared for how long it would take me. And I think that was a big learning curve for 2025, and creating art for its personal in general, is realizing that certain things go very quickly and certain things take a lot of time. Videos that I get to do very quickly and edit are things like color alongs and paint alongs. They go very quickly on editing sites, for example, because I don't have to do voiceovers because I'm talking to you guys live. But there's a catch-22 to everything in this world. because those videos end up being longer and I don't have to edit on them so much, and they go up as is basically, they don't do as well, which is kind of sad, because art is not supposed to be a rush job, but the algorithms and the weird thingamajiggies don't understand that. And so there's a balancing act that needs to be maintained on YouTube, and I'm going to try and do a better job of that next year. Maybe scaling down projects, color along projects, to smaller projects that maybe I can sit down in one take, and it doesn't take maybe I can speed it up a little bit and it will be more realistic. Oh yeah, this was the fun part of the project. Like I have the problem with the watercolor glitter paint, I have the problem with the acrylic glitter paint as well. This little cupcake needed some sparkle in life, and I decided to put some glitter acrylic paint all over the icing on top, all over it. I was initially just going to do a little bit here and there, and then I decided, nope, we are covering the entire icing with golden glitter acrylic paint. And I'm glad I did, because it just makes that little cupcake sparkle all the way to the moon and back. And that, guys, is the entire polymer clay cupcake video for today. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something, not to do the same mistakes I made, and maybe make them yourself so you can learn as well. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys will have a lovely day wherever you are, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till next time, bye bye.